Welcome to the Do Zone, where entrepreneurs go to get things done. I'm your host, Josh Thomas. You can find me on all social media at JT Literally. Each week, I bring on experts from a variety of backgrounds to share their secrets on how to optimize performance so you can take massive action and crush your goals. The Do Zone is sponsored by Fast Track Funnels, the new way to bring in consistent daily sales for your business in 2025 without cold outreach or burning cash on ads. We used this method with a brand new business to generate more than $100,000 cash collected in less than 30 days. Download the free step-by-step blueprint that shows exactly how we did it at getconversions.net. Once again, that's getconversions.net. Today's guest is Virginia Muzquiz, known as the referral diva. She is the founder of Master Connectors and a globally recognized expert in business networking and referral-based marketing. With over 2 decades of experience helping coaches, consultants, and sales professionals scale their business, Virginia has mastered the art and science of building profitable networks. Virginia, welcome to the Do Zone. Tell us something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
PEAT.
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 Yeah, I call Pete all the time, man.
All the
He
time,
is
right?
my executor. I love it.
So PEAT is plan. So you want to plan what you're going to do, whether you're having a meeting, you want to know what you're going to talk about, what's going to be the purpose. If you're going to sit in front of your computer, what's the plan for the hour? So plan, then execute your plan, then track your results and evaluate how happy you are with how you spent that time, and then repeat, replan, execute again, track what you're doing, and then evaluate your progress as you go. So PEAT.
Repeat, Pete and repeat. I love it.
PEAT and repeat.
Excellent. And so it's important that we have some sort of process involved here. And what I like about your Pete is there's some execution involved, but then there's also reviewing the execution that happened to make sure that it was actually effective, and then
Right.
changing the next action based on that. And that seems to be a step that a lot of people miss, because a lot of times they're just executing, and then they're executing again, and then they're executing again. But sometimes we veer a little bit farther from the goal because we're not evaluating, making the adjustments.
Yeah, and I think you can't track your results if you don't have a plan. So if you haven't planned the result in advance, and then you execute on what you need to do, then you can track your execution to your plan, and then you can decide, did I take correct action? Because really there's no point in going further and further and further down the wrong road. At some point you got to stop and turn around and get back to square one if it's not taking you in the direction. And I think that's what hinders a lot of people from getting a lot done, is they do a lot of the wrong stuff.
You're right. How do we choose the right stuff, or how do we know that we're doing the wrong stuff?
So I think some of it's by trial and error. So obviously you can go out there and try it and, cast your line and see if you get a fish, right? And if you cast your line with the same bait over and over again and get no fish, then you got to look at the variables. What are the things that could be influencing? Example, is it the right bait for the fish that I want to catch? Are the fish that I want to catch in this water? I'm not going to find, crawdads in the trout stream, right? You have to be fishing in the right place. And am I using the right equipment? Am I doing the right thing? So there's all different variables that you want to test for to make sure that you're doing the right work. And I think the answer to your question becomes part of that tracking and that evaluating. Most people are, you know, execute, execute, execute. And the way they track is, I have money or I don't have money. I have clients or I don't have clients. I have a clean house or I don't have a clean house. That's as close to tracking as they get. And without that evaluate period, you just don't know if you're doing the right work at the right time, in the right amount, in the right way, with the right people. There's so many variables. So I think it all goes down to science. You just test one variable at a time. The other way to do it, quite frankly, Josh, is to hire somebody who's been there, done that, and has made more mistakes than you'll ever make attempts, and pay them some good money to keep you out of the weeds.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing for us to do sometimes, is admit where our strengths and weaknesses actually lie. Well, we're pretty
Yeah.
good at admitting our strengths, but it's when you recognize your weaknesses and you compensate for those weaknesses in some way
Hmm.
that is
Yeah.
meaningful that makes the biggest difference. Like for
Yeah.
me, I am not an organized person. Willing to admit it. It's not going to get better. Sorry. You have no idea what's on the other side of this camera right now. I'm just going to say. But I do recognize I'm not good at it. And so I surround myself proactively with people who are really organized to make
Hmm.
up for it so that I can stay in my zone of genius, because it'll be an exertion of energy for me to figure out how to organize myself. But having somebody else keep me organized, way easier, even though it costs a little bit of money.
It does. And what I tell my clients all the time is you have three options when it comes to the tasking or in your business or in your life, right? You either need to do it. And really, if you want to expand or grow or make money or be wildly successful or have a joyful life, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, you really should only touch the things that are yours to do, that you're the only one that can actually do them. And everything else you should either delegate or you should ditch. And, I encourage a lot of things that my clients do. I encourage them to ditch, albeit sometimes momentarily or temporarily, like ditch that for now. And maybe I need a D for file it away, for like postpone. Is there a D word that means postpone? But yeah,
Defer.
it's defer. There you go.
Boom. You're welcome.
Boom, we got it.
Patent pending.
You just fixed my system. Yeah, so there's some stuff that you have to put off and not now. And then there's stuff that you just really there's no reason to do it. And if you're tracking and evaluating, you can easily see what you need to ditch. Because if you're tracking and evaluating and getting nowhere, then ditch it, do something different.
Yeah. And let's talk about let's kind of shift gears here. And I know that you are the referral diva, if you will.
Yeah.
And you talk a lot about networking and referrals. And one thing that I've always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with referrals, because I look at the darker side,
Hmm.
which is, hey, let's pass referrals with each other. And I get most of my business through word of mouth and referrals. And what I've always seen there is there's a lack of intentionality. It's just kind of passive, and you're just hoping somebody remembers you at that strategic time when they hear of somebody that needs a service that you provide. And that's an awful lot of variables. And I know that
Hmm.
you talk about traditional networking really doesn't work. There's this myth that referrals is the best way,
Yeah.
but that's not true necessarily. So I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, there are like 19 rabbit holes that my brain is going down right now. So I want to
Focus.
organize. I gotta focus. So let me start with this one idea. First of all, hope and pray is not a strategy. Law of attraction is not a strategy. And I am a woo-woo guru, so I do believe in energy and all of that. But hoping and praying that a referral will fall on your head is not the way to go. And most people are operating at what I call algorithmic marketing, which is they're just waiting for someone to ask someone they know, do you know a guy who? Right? Do you know a plumber? Yes, my plumber is Jed. Well,
Mhm.
that does not create a predictable revenue stream
Mhm.
whatsoever. In order for you to create a predictable revenue stream, you have to have a plan and a system. It's sort of like if I post every now and again on social media and then I'm frustrated that I have no engagement. Well, that's because I don't have a system for that. And if I go out and I make an ad and I put $20 on an ad and I don't get any clients, and then I'm mad because my $20 didn't get me any engagement. Well, because I'm not doing enough of it with enough intentionality. And so when you're creating referral partnerships, you need to do two different levels of engagement. One that I call archaeology, which is I say to you, Josh, who do you need to know? And you start telling me who's on your list. These are the kinds of people that I want to know. Here's somebody I want to know. And then I need to figure out, can I dig that up in my network? Where can I look in my network? In my CRM is probably more complex than the average bear's because I run a sales funnel and a referral funnel. So I have a lot of different complexities in my system. and for that reason, because I can search for who you want or what you want and it pops up for me. So I can do that archaeology and dig around. And then what I love is what I call alchemy. So I had breakfast yesterday with a friend of mine, Rob Goyette, who's a digital marketer, been in the space for a really long time, very well known guy. And the reason that we became friends is he became a guest on my podcast, and I asked him who he wanted to meet, and he told me he wanted to meet John Lee Dumas. And so I don't know John Lee Dumas, but I had a client who was in a John Lee Dumas mastermind, and I asked Zach to ask JLD if he would meet with Rob. And the next thing I know, JLD is calling Rob, and they're having dinner together, and they're out in Puerto Rico and San Juan and being great friends, you know. So yesterday I met him for breakfast, and he said, "Can I want to meet? I just want you to know I'm going to ask you to introduce me to Alex Hormozy." It's like, okay, okay, I'll
Gotta
work on that.
manifest that shit.
I'll work on that one, you know, and lo
Yeah.
and behold, I have a client who's in a Hermosi mastermind, blah, blah, blah. So the alchemy part is, can you poof it out of nothing? Can you find it and can you make it work? And when you network with that kind of intentionality, you become someone who's really sought after, and you become the kind of influencer that creates income and impact throughout the course of your week, month, year, life.
Yeah, just really being intentional about it, it makes the biggest impact. You
Mhm.
know, if you're trying to make that connection, go and actively seek that referral instead of
Yep.
waiting for it to come to you. So it's like you're flipping the script on this. If you want
Yeah.
referrals, you got to go and ask for them. And
Well,
you got to
yeah,
go
and
and talk to people that are being intentional about finding them for you, because there's a huge chasm. You can tell if you start paying attention when you meet the connector, you can tell you're talking to a connector because he or she follows through and they do
yep,
something.
yep.
Whereas a passive referral partner is, you may never hear from them again.
Yeah. And I think the other part of it, and one of the things I tell my clients is, you know, if I want you to refer me, Josh, I should make it easy. If I say, I just want to meet people who need more referrals. So anybody you know that needs more referrals, that would be a really good introduction for me. That does not help you at all. If I
Yeah.
can tell you that I want to meet independent financial advisors in your area, in fact, there are 10 that I'm very interested in, and by name, they are these 10 people. Do you know any of them? And you say yes. And I say, terrific. Here's an introduction email that you could use to make that introduction for me.
Mhm.
Now I've made it effortless for you. I'm not asking you to go do the research on who are the independent financial advisors in your area. I'm not asking you to find their names. I'm not asking you to make up an email. I'm just asking you to take action with someone that you know and giving you a tool to do it. So in my practice, I really teach people to create the tools and the training piece with their referral partners, so that there's ultimately lots of clarity and lots of ease in making the referrals happen.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And so tell us a little bit more about who you're a good fit for and how they
Hmm.
can learn more and connect with you.
So I work predominantly with service-based solopreneurs. So think coaches, consultants, and advisors, accountants, engineers, financial advisors, insurance agents, people that are advising, typically business owners who are, I was going to say people or businesses, but nobody advises businesses. They advise business owners. Um, so those are really great fit for me. And the easiest way to find me is to connect with me on LinkedIn. That is one of my favorite places. I'm the only Virginia Muzquiz on LinkedIn. So I love that. And then I do have a blueprint. If people want to jump onto my mailing list, they can download the Business by Referral Blueprint, where I outline the 6 essential steps that people need to take in order to build a network that actually will bring them referrals. And do you want me to give you the link right now?
Yeah.
That's at masterconnectors.com/blueprint. Masterconnectors.com/blueprint.
Excellent. Well, hey, we're going to wrap up from here. Thanks so much to our guest, Virginia Muzquiz, for sharing a little bit of wisdom about how she gets things done. You can learn more about her blueprint for building the right referral networks by going to masterconnectors.com/blueprint. Whether you're out on your morning commute, you're in the gym, or you're somewhere out in the field, snap a selfie, tag me at JT Literally. Show me what you do while you're in the do zone. And oh, also, if you are a moose on skis, then snap a selfie. Definitely, I want to see you too. So, and one more time, if you want daily sales and a full calendar of prospects who want what you have, and referrals are a good support to this, you can download the Fast Track Funnels Blueprint for free at getconversions.net. That's it. Now let's get to work.